on this short for people who lie to themselves. Well, yeah, they don't know their sense of self, but that way out. Okay, so accountability, self accountability is where it's called I have emotions and thoughts, and I'm not alone, and I will talk to somebody and not treat them like a piece of shit. Okay, so here's an empowered woman. We'll talk about discard, rejection, liars, and any of those who I call Cuscos and teenagers. So, number one, please know they all need good trauma therapists. Any man who has ever fucked or woman, anyone, and a second later, contempt, disgust, and shame, therapy. Immediately, not tomorrow. Now, if they want to, they can get out of that, what is it, adolescent attitude of fear of inadequacy. Luckily, the teenagers have great attachment trauma researchers who are supporting therapists all over the place. So, and I'm included in a consultant, a mentor who helps people to have a good relationship with the emotional body and mental body. Oh, I'm a 5D mystic, FYI, in the enlightenment soul age group. And I am not in spiritual after. So when I know that we don't affect states of consciousness is because you can walk or guide a mule, jackass, donkey to the well, you can't have them drink. Because they're going to be drinking the fucking drugging, drinking of anything and everything that is of an adolescent world, which I still see people thinking is fun, and I don't even know. Okay, so the upper world, we're smart mentally and emotionally, all of it. We are all one big ball of energy, and nobody's cursed. So I have not ever been cursed in my life, not with my twin flame or flames or soulmates. In fact, I've consistently known I'm a lucky gal, and I've met plenty of empowered human beings. Now, the ones who have actual balls, that's a different story, because to have actual balls for a person like me, it means that you know how to say, hey, guess what, Maria? Here's everything that I think and feel, all of it. Here's every single step of the way of what I've done, how I've done it, and where my heart is at, okay? And to have the actual capacity to be a man, a woman, or they. Now, I meet some of them, but see, here's where that intimate relationship, how can I explain it? Well, I won't. But accountability means that if I have done anything in an effort to upset you, that I know how to say it to you in your face. And that means to say, you know what? I'm so sorry that I was a jackass, an asshole, and that I did a bunch of things. So that's the part where it's very funny to see people not know how to do that. And that's to this day at 44. So while I love all human beings, I'm going to say it's empowering when you meet people who know how to be accountable with the self. So that means they know that the first 3 years of their life matter. Found it hard to believe that my implicit memories. So no, not those ones. Those ones will continue to just hide their emotions and lie to themselves. What does that look like? Okay, so when you have Cusco, or when you have a squirrel from Cusco land, or when you have Pinocchio with the wooden body, it looks something like this. Patrick Tiahan, he shares about how codependent individuals, they date people with low self-esteem, not healthy boundaries, passive aggressive, they manipulate information, and they don't know boundaries. And I will have seen plenty of men let women treat them like shit, and plenty of women allow themselves to be objectified and make it into their mission to be in trauma bonding experiences. And I've shared with men and women the attachment trauma education that I share with you. And none of them have taken it up to say, you know what? Wow, I can tell this thing. You're right. What the hell? So, like Patrick Tiahan points out, therapy is important so that you can reparent your inner child. What I've noticed is they don't want the inner child. They don't want to be vulnerable with their own self. So they're not self accountable. See? Self awareness. Remember, that's the first one, our short 7 minute. You need self-awareness. So I have emotions. Oh, look, I have thoughts. Do I feel happy tonight? Do I feel lucky? Do I feel open-hearted? Do I love all 8 billion people and growing? I'm being serious right now. Number one, are your brothers and sisters all human beings or not? So if you do have this capacity to understand what I'm speaking to you is good. That's your step one, because the minute that you can actually notice how your heart's opening and closing, you'll begin to notice whatever you don't like is what you can expand from and with. And that's where you could begin. And then once you find yourself all alone with nobody to turn to in Shiva land, it means you face your secondary human consciousness and you say, I don't like this. I'm immortal. I'm all alone. And I'm not kidding right now. So how deep you are able to do this with uncertainty and certainty, and to be able to be okay with it here, not here, No, no, here, open, not crying, not in despair. I'm describing something. It's very specific. Last time I was in despair for knowing that I'm gonna die in the way that I'm gonna. It was I was a child, young adolescent. I was like, okay, Marcus Aurelius, thank you so much. You've helped me, and that was it. So you can navigate your emotional intelligence mastery if you just say, oh look, I have feelings. I'm a human. Wow, I'm alive. So discard. Why does it mean nothing to a person like me? Because I'm not an object. When you don't see me and you treat me and you don't take accountability for objectifying me, whether you feel contempt, disgust, and shame after fucking me, I'm just going to use that one. I'm not going to fear inadequacy. I'm not going to feel unworthy. I'm not going to feel shame. I'm not going to feel unseen because, see, I don't have this thing called unhealthy self worth or childhood trauma. I have what's called healthy self worth. I have a differentiated 3-year-old who told my mother, you can't spank me, corrected my biological father as he called me a different name, and got to find out, thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel, that that means I'm a differentiated self. So what empowerment means is I'm not looking to mesh with you. There's a door right there. I'm not going to pat you on the head and say, good boy, open it for me. I'm not going to expect you to do anything with my embodied brain. This is emotional empowerment. And what I actually won't do at all is say you need to be accountable, because that's a martyr superior from the codependent squirrel type attitude. So again, people, they can easily lie to themselves. Others of us, we are straight with ourselves. There's ways that we will want to be treated. I learned as a teenager and with God and Jesus. How are you going to treat people, Maria? The way that I want to be treated. So what are you going to do? I'm going to stay open-hearted and tell the truth. Why would I lie? Why would I be a coward? And then you grow up and learn that all the cowardice, they don't go to people like Patrick Tiahan. Lo and behold, and they keep on dating Strombolis and not being accountable. So, I mean, the reality is the only people who fear inadequacy are actually people who don't know, one, their own sense of self-worth. They don't know how to be accountable. They don't know emotions are what make us. They want the Zen master tells them they got laundry. Or some other person who says, humans are fucked up. Or some jackass who tells you all about how there's a lack of imagination for evil versus you lack the education. Seriously, the fact that you don't know Michael, what's his name, Stone, forensic criminologist, and all attachment trauma information makes me think, where are you living? Because I know I don't know pop music and shitty entertainment. There's a reason for it. It's shitty to see people to live a Cusco life and think that that's the highlight, and then to blame some evil story, devil, demon. There's Patrick McNamara, it's a neuroscientist, and I'm a 5D mystic. I know all about the plane's eye. And as I told God, the only person who needed to have a conversation with about evil, I said, hey, God, human suffering. I was about 18 or 20. And then I said, and hey, God, the people, they're not following your word. I can see. And I feel this guilt thing, but it's because the institution told me I'm supposed to believe that they represent you. They represent nothing of what I learned about you and what you represent. Not even a little bit. They're not even following Jesus' footsteps. They just regurgitate information. And now they want to make Reiki out to be something that it's not. Oh, I'm sorry, you don't own Reiki? You don't like yoga? Is it competing with you or something? What's up? Oh, somebody needs something to believe in. It is a fascinating way that this is how people lie to themselves. They can't hear what's coming out of their mouth. When I saw this human being say, people need something to believe in, and in the meantime, you got a cloak on, what do you think you represent? You represent the same thing, because anything that is within the plane of invisibility, spirituality related, this is what gets me. It's the ears that don't notice this person, that person, they're both spirituality. They're both in the invisible plane, which is why you stay grounded easily as a 5D mystic. Sciences, subject matter experts, academia. I'm an academic. I just chose to go off from academia because there's just as many egos in academia as anywhere else. So the people who lie to themselves, they don't know their sense of self. They also don't care to. They don't care to actually, one, self-regulate in a way that can have them also be self-accountable, and they don't talk to people that they treat like pieces of shit. You know what people that are accountable do? We know we're imperfect and flawed. We'll do our best to be members of society. And if somebody is, though, a person who is a manipulative, desperate, love-dependent, porous human being who comes out of the woods and is being rejected and decides to be passive-aggressive with a person who's consistently communicated very easily with decency, I'm not interested, 3 years. And this is it's going to be one of my recurring stories, because, see, to me, that moment, I'm so used to people lying to themselves and not taking any kind of ownership. It's amazing how many human beings think they're independent because they got money, they got a car, they can drive, they do a lot of things. I noticed that they're not independent emotionally. They all look like Cusco. They all look like jackasses. And so that's men, women days. It don't matter how you flip it, how you twist it. I'm noticing if you're dating, another Stromboli, if you're trying to figure out how to bullshit yourself again and then say, why? Sounds like all my teenage friends. Like, there's so many people out there. Why are you whining about one human being? I don't understand. This is amazing to me. You have nothing better to do with your life than to just live according to one person, one alone. But I am polyamory. So, there's that. So, the accountability, though, humanly speaking, we're all going to be imperfect. I learned that as a teenager. You're not going to make everybody happy. You're not supposed to. Your happiness stems from within you. It's actually your embodied brain and your 1-year-old to your child parts. So come on over if you're curious for personal development, self-help, to be emotionally grown up, an actual badass, which means you treat people with decency. So even when you don't do something wrong, you still apologize. Why? Because that's the human thing to do. And because it's no story, there's no monster owning anyone. And that's because of trauma. Man, the first 3 years of your life are the most important, if ever. I have my happiest childhood memories when I was 3. And then I have people say, I find it hard to believe that you're going to blame my implicit memory. Well, you should read Robert Sapolsky. It isn't quantitative data, but it's pretty good. And he's right about how the brain structure works. And if you learn about the brain, then maybe you'll stop believing yoga brings demons out of you or demons come out of anyone, because you're going to understand what the brain is and your embodied brain. So I don't do rumors with the embodied brain. I know the gist of it because I support people who want to do emotions and thoughts after good therapy or alongside good therapy. And that's where we're going to have another episode. In the meantime, please, let's leave Cusco's alone. Come on over for IHP community, 5D people. We take ownership, accountability. We chit chat, no chips on shoulders. Nobody taking offense, please. No passive aggressive stuff. So that's the part of where it takes time. I can hear tones. I'll share a story in another episode, actually, on that one. So thank you again for stopping by. Tune in. And we have audio episodes. Some are only audio, in case you're curious. And we have, on Fridays, channeled guidance. I need to get started on that one. And then Mondays at times as well. So we were going to have at least 1 or 2 episodes of audio alone. And then we have one-to-one mentorship for anyone who wants to seriously take your journey to being accountable, regulating, and again, aware, and to move into, it's really fun, by the way, to be emotionally empowered. And then when you have empowered emotionally men and women to have true romance, that's also nice, and days. So yeah, true romance is not in and out behavior, nothing visceral. That's the part. First, you make sure you have what is healthy self-worth, secure attachment. You love yourself first. That's a true spirituality journey, though, life of meaning and connection beyond the soul self. Again, love all 8 billion people. First, number 1, get to that, and it's not a rush. So you can take your time. I have compersion, but I began life with a twin. So I've consistently shared my primary caregiver, and that's why I know when you're put to the side doesn't mean you're left out, but I also know how to self-soothe, which is also why I don't expect any man, woman, or they to soothe my nervous system. But my ideal, imperfectly flawed human being is going to always want to soothe my nervous system and make me smile inside and out. That's it. No crying, no pissiness, none of it. Passion is a different thing. And so anytime you have an emotionally and mentally intelligent, that's an actual intelligent man or woman or they, you're going to find that they're whole, which means that all of what I just said is, yeah, well, no shit, Sherlock. Of course, I'm going to reassure you and not bring my teenage Cusco snappy bullshit attitude your way, because that's a non-bilaterally integrated person who's not taking accountability for their tone, and they're deciding to project it and actually be insensitive. And while Stephen Porges makes a good point, the people who are in their yellow or red, they're offline. I said self-accountable, self-aware, self-regulating. This is the only people who move in here, is that I'm going to be emotionally accountable of myself. Not bring to you Eeyore personality, not drag you down. I'm not going to be the one who says, oh, humans suck. I'm trying to specify, okay? So self-aware, self-accountable, self-regulating. This is human 101, 5D human 101. So we're here for human love narrative, not the suffering. There's a Zen master that tells you about laundry for the suffering bit. And there's plenty of people that want to go over there. So enlightenment the human way, restored embodiment, self, integration of the brain. If I can do it, you can do it too. I'm not even kidding. But you want to love all 8 billion people and know there's no demon devil owning anyone. Nope. There's a brain, fear receptor. Again, we'll be back shortly. So thank you so much. Like, share, and subscribe.